What's going on, guys? Matt here. So today we're looking at the Flissa 8.5. Now, technically, this knife doesn't have a specific name. It's just called Flissa Fixed Blade Hunting Knife 8.5 Full Tang D2 Blade, blah, 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 on that Amazon description. You guys know how those are. But we're looking at the Flissa, what I'm going to call the Flissa 8.5. Now, right off the top, I do want to let you guys know that I was sent this by the manufacturer. So I try to be as objective as possible when reviewing blades, no matter where I get them, but I do want to be honest with you guys about that. So this is a really interesting knife, and we're going to get into it. We're going to get into what I like, what I don't like, and whether or not I recommend the blade. But first, let's do some size comparisons. We'll talk specs, then we'll get into all that. So on the Flissa 8.5, which is what I'm calling it, we're looking at a overall 8.5 inches. That's why they call it the Flissa 8.5. Blade length is 3 5/8 inches, so just under 4 inches on that blade. 5/32 inch thick on that blade thickness, and it weighs 6.48 ounces. This is made of D2, has G10 handles, and to pick this up, you're looking at about $20 on Amazon. It's really quite an inexpensive blade, especially when you're considering kind of what you're getting. And also it comes with a plastic sheath. So let's look at it in comparison to a couple other blades. So let's look at it in comparison to, another Flissa knife. Matt, why do you have multiple Flissa blades? I don't know. They have some good blades at decent prices, so I just thought I'd pick one up. This is what I call the Flissa 9. I reviewed the wood handle version of this, and this is the micarta one that I picked up just the other day. Again, D2 on that as well. And then let's compare it against a knife that you guys probably know quite well. Let me get this thing situated back in its sheath. SE4. Similar blade style, similar kind of philosophy of use, you could say. SE4 has a little bit of a longer blade, as you can see right there, but not that much longer, and it's really kind of your outdoor camp knife, everyday utility blade is what this blade's going to kind of fit into. So guys, let's talk about what I like about this blade. And I want to start off kind of off the top by saying I really, really like this knife. I really think this is quite an excellent knife, especially for the price. When I got it in hand, I was really shocked at how much I enjoyed the feel of this knife and kind of its functionality. And you can see I have used this a decent amount. Just doing some wood prep. And so let's talk about what I like though, and why I think this blade connected with me so much. So first of all, you got to get it out of the way. The price right now, I'm looking at Amazon, it is $19. $19 for a blade in D2 with G10 handles and a plastic sheath. The value does not get better than that, guys. That is as good a value as you can get. Yes, it's overseas produced. You're not going to get an American made blade for $19 with D2 steel. It's just not going to happen. So if you're okay with a blade being produced overseas, you are looking at probably the best value you can get for a under 4-inch kind of belt knife style blade. So the price is just outstanding. And along with the price, it kind of goes into it. The materials. This is D2 steel, guys. D2 is an excellent steel. Yes, it's an old steel, but it really is quite an excellent steel. From what I can tell, it performs just like D2 should. So I don't think there's going to be any issues with this, whether or not this is actually D2. I know there have been some issues with manufacturers, kind of whether or not blades were actually made in the steel they were claiming they're made in. I think this is actually D2, and I think it performs really, really well. Along with D2, we're not getting FRN handles. We're not getting some paracord wrap. We are getting a G10 handle, a really nicely contoured G10 handle. The tang is not proud. It really just... It's very well machined, very well crafted, and I just think that the materials, especially for the price that you're paying on this blade, you can't find a better deal on the internet. This is one of the best deals you're going to be able to find for a small kind of companion belt knife. So I really, really love the feel of this blade, and I kind of touched on it before I got into what I like. I think that the feel is just incredible. When you grab it in your hand, it settles really, really nicely. It's contoured. It's not sharp. There's no sharp edges. Well, there is one thing I do want to talk about and what I don't like back here, but it just feels incredible in hand. It's kind of difficult to describe. Sometimes you just get a blade in your hand And the SE4 is a good example. I don't feel that way about the SE4. It's a good knife, but when I grab it, there's not really enough room on the back right here. So I don't get that feeling of kind of confidence-inspired comfort when I grab this knife. I do get that feeling with the Flissa 8.5. And so I think, again, based on the price, it's incredible that I can get the feel of this knife for that price. I think that's excellent. Another thing I really like is the jimping. I think the jimping is exactly how you want jimping to be. It's sharp enough and deep enough to where it locks your hand in, but it's not so sharp that if you're using it, or it's not coming down to where the palm of your hand contacts the spine. So it's positioned correctly, and it's just sharp enough to lock your hand in to where you really feel confidence when you're holding this blade. This G10 isn't the most traction-y G10. You know, you have a little bit of traction there. We can see that. But it's relatively smooth. So having that jimping really lock you in, I just think that that is excellent, very well placed, and very well done on behalf of Flissa. And the last thing I want to mention is this blade shape. I love this drop point blade shape. I think that it looks great. It's very utilitarian, and having a drop point allows that blade to stay nice and thick all the way up to the tip. I would not worry about prying with this blade. I think that it's going to perform excellent. I think that's going to be an extremely tough knife, extremely durable, and you're just not going to have to worry about breaking this knife. It's going to handle whatever you're going to throw at it. I know I said last thing, but one more thing I do want to mention is the finish on this. Now, I don't know what kind of finish this is. It looks like some sort of acid wash. It does seem to wear off, but it looks really, really handsome. I think it's a really good looking finish. Let's see if I can get it on the light a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. So really nice looking finish. It does wear off a little bit easy, but it's like this acid wash finish, and I think it looks really, really good. So well done on the finish on there. Now let's talk about what I don't like on the Flissa. So the sheath is fine. It's totally okay. The reason I'm saying I don't like it, and it's not something I don't mind, is because it has this goofy opening, and I think this is meant to be like some sort of seatbelt cutter to where the edge pokes out right there. I really don't like that. I just think that that's going to make that portion of the edge rust. I think it's kind of silly. So I would like to see that changed. The retention is not great on it. The retention is okay, but it only has a clip and there's no extra secure attachment. You know, like you have a secure attachment right there. That's not falling out because you have a button. Or like a Cold Steel Secure X sheath, you have an extra attachment on there. So it just has a clip. So the only thing holding it in is friction. This isn't as secure. Like I wouldn't want to mount this upside down. It's just not. It's not positive enough, that attachment. So I don't love the sheath because of that opening right there for a seatbelt cutter, and because the retention just isn't great. The plastic feels cheap. Again, it's a $20 knife. I'm not really complaining all that much. These are small gripes, guys. Remember, when I'm reviewing a blade, I'm going into it in depth. So I kind of got to nitpick a little bit, find things that, you know, what's something that I could see done better with a blade. The sheath is one. It's not terrible, but it's fine. Is it gonna work for you? Probably just fine. But I would, if I were you and you get this blade and the retention isn't great, maybe take a hairdryer or a heat gun and compress that to get that tension right. Because if there was just a bit more tension, this sheath actually would work pretty well, even with that goofy opening on it. So if it was like, yeah, there you go. If it was that positive, I think that would work really well. But it's a little bit too light on that opening. And the last thing is, there is a hot spot at the bottom of this handle. Now, let's see if you guys can see this. I'm going to really try and get this up close. So, one side of this handle, right there, if you're a lefty, that's going to dig into your hand. If you're a righty, this part's going to dig into your hand, except it won't for me because I sanded it down. You can see where that sanding happened right there. Yeah. So, my hand, I'm going to try and do this so you can see. When you grab it like that, your hand fat digs in a little bit to the bottom of that handle. So that point right there was a little bit sharp, and just taking sandpaper to it for 5 minutes, I was able to sand it down and make it perfectly comfortable. Is that a huge deal? No, because it takes you 5 minutes to fix, and it's probably not going to happen with you unless you have really, really big fat hands like I do. So is it something I dislike? Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that just filled in, because I don't think you really need a lanyard on a blade this size. you know, it's less than a 4-inch blade. I'm not going to be chopping with it. I don't think anyone else is going to be chopping with it. But, so I just would like to see that filled in, and it was an easy fix. So yes, it is something I don't like about the blade, but it's such a minor gripe. The two things about this blade with the sheath and that small handle thing, they're just such minor things for a blade that I think is so well executed for the price, for the materials, that you just can't go wrong with this Flissa 8.5. It's such an excellent design and such a great blade for the price. I just think it's a home run for Flissa. They've had 2 blades I've reviewed now, and I have this one, you know, we saw at the beginning, this Flissa 9. Both have been home runs for this company. You know, I know they're not known for making a ton of knives, but the knives that I've reviewed from them have both been excellent. So you can't go wrong for the price on this Flissa 8.5. Guys, pick one up, even if you have a blade that, you know, functions in this capacity. Like I had the SE4. Did I need this blade? No, of course not. But when I saw it and they asked me, what model do you want a review of ours? I said this one because it just connected with me, and I think it's an excellent blade for the price. So pick one up if it's something you're looking for. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.